we weren't live, and I did not see Matt Verderame sit down, and all of a sudden I thought Greg was still sitting there, and I saw him, and it was like what? It was just a weird moment.
Major upgrade.
But I was going to say, it's
Major
an
upgrade.
unbelievable honor to have you sit in his chair, and basically just to have 15 minutes without him.
Let me give us a drop of history. I worked with Verderame at Fansided for 7 years. He was there before I started, and now he's, of course, killing it at Sports Illustrated. And just there is nobody on the planet who spends more time watching, reading, and doing football, and I'm including even you in that, Adam Hogue, than Matthew P. Verderame. What's going on? What's wrong? Are you all right?
Our friends from Asheville over there are so loud, I honestly thought it was coming out of his computer.
Okay.
But it
muted.
Anyway,
unprofessional moment by myself.
If you don't know Verderame, I'm sure you do, but if you don't, this guy knows his stuff more than anybody knows his stuff. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. It's honestly the real shock is that Fanside didn't go under.
That's true.
We were both there for 7 years, and somehow it survived.
That's a true
credit
statement.
to Fansided, which is
Yeah.
thriving, and maybe that's because we left.
Actually, we built it. Let's be honest. They wouldn't have survived without us.
Yeah, it seems like it's gotten stronger since you left.
Things have picked up. It's a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah, it's true.
All
okay,
right,
you start.
We were just talking to Mike Florio, and he brought up, and I don't know why we really haven't spent that much time thinking about this, but he in his Florio way of like kind of taking all the information he gets and then almost making borderline conspiracy theories. What was wondering if the things that Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus said this week, almost trying to poke Justin Fields into actually requesting a trade.
Well, I guess that's possible. I would also think that I don't know that he has to request a trade.
Yeah,
well, I think he's just going to be traded. So I don't know that needs to happen.
But his argument was like from a PR standpoint, it might make everything easier because you know this. You're close enough to it that like the Justin Fields fans are so like there might be some minor rioting. I think everything will go away when Caleb shows up and throws his first touchdown.
That's it though, right?
Yeah.
Like we all know how this works. You know, if Caleb Williams shows up and in week 1 throws 3 touchdown passes and they win, nobody's going to care anymore. That's it, right? Everybody's going to be, hey, right move. Happy to be here. I mean, I think if you're a Bears fan, even if you love Fields, you have to be honest with the reality of, do you truly think that in the next couple of years, Fields is going to be worth paying $55 to $60 million a year? Because if you don't think that's the case, you shouldn't have him on the team anymore. You should go out and get that guy. Nobody wants the 15th best quarterback in the league. That works if you're the 49ers. And you have the most talented roster anybody's seen in the last handful of years. And even that wasn't good enough. They haven't won a Super Bowl. So I think if you're the Bears, look, I think Fields is talented. But can you really make a case based off what you've seen in a Bears uniform that he's going to be a top 10 quarterback in the league? If you can't, you're drafting Caleb Williams.
And let me just be clear because I'm sensitive to the fan base right now. No one on this show is celebrating Justin getting traded at all. There's none of that going on. But it is like living in reality of what is going.
I have one minor quibble with that.
Okay,
I will have a minor celebration when whatever happens because I just want it to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
There will be a celebration.
Okay, but it won't be because Justin's gone. Get that guy out of here. No one's doing that.
No one's doing it.
No one's going to do that. So let's just be clear about
Except
that.
for Matt Verderame.
Verderame is you've just been very confused as to why this is a discussion.
Look, I think Fields has been a professional through all this. A lot of guys would be pissed and they'd be out front about that and they'd cause an issue, and he hasn't done that. I respect it. But no, I think I'm not a big fan of what I feel is like BS discourse. Why wouldn't you take Caleb Williams one? Unless you just have some issue with, hey, look, I don't like the pick for some reason. Whether it's you don't love his tape, whether it's you're worried about any kind of an off-field thing, which I don't think there's anything about Caleb Williams that you'd sit there and be freaked out about. I mean, he's done nothing but be a professional off the field, right? So I just think if you're the Bears, you haven't had a quarterback since what? Since Jim McMahon?
Since never.
And if you want to go further back than that, since Sid Luckman.
Yeah.
Okay?
Too far.
Like, at some point here, if you're a Bears fan, you root for the Bears. Doesn't mean you got to root against Justin Fields. Like, root for his success wherever he goes. But I'm just a big fan of, like, let's just be honest and keep it real here. Justin Fields, from what we've seen, you would have to think the prospects are brighter of Caleb Williams becoming an all-pro level quarterback than Justin Fields. That's just the truth.
It's one of the interesting things about being down here at the Combine and even when we were at the Super Bowl a few weeks ago, like when you're around more of the national conversation and it's not just us in Chicago talking about this over and over again.
Yep.
There's definitely a lot of what you're saying where there are people that are more in the national landscape that are like, I don't even understand why this is a conversation.
Yeah.
Like this is the most slam dunk pick in the history of football.
I was at the Senior Bowl. And the conversation, I know some of you guys were as well, right? I mean, the conversation down there was like, yeah, they're taking Caleb Williams. I couldn't find one human being in the NFL who was like, nah, I don't know. I mean, it was like, yeah, they're taking a quarterback. That's what's going to happen because that's what should happen. And the other part of this is too, and this is one thing I know some fans consider and maybe some don't. Justin Fields is now extension eligible, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you're going to pass on Caleb Williams, you better pay Justin Fields because if you don't, now it's a clown car. Now it's ridiculous, right? So, like, and I'm not saying you got to pay him this offseason, but at some point you've got to pay him. And if you don't pay him, it's because he's not good, and then everybody's fired anyway. And now you have another quarterback to look at and go, oh, my God, how do we not take this kid? Well, we had him, and it was right there. And so I just think you reset the financial clock, too. You now have 4 more cheap years, 5 years with the option of Williams. Well, that matters.
Outside of I mean, there's obviously a lot of quarterback talk, but there are other things that the Bears need to kind of solve here. Jaylon Johnson being one of them, getting long term. You follow the Chiefs closely. L'Jarius Sneed's one of the best corners. Should Jaylon be paid like he's the top corner in the league, or when you look at a guy like L'Jarius Sneed, like obviously he's very productive as well?
I mean, I think both those guys are going to get paid. And I think the reality is, like, you know, look, we're always shocked by the sticker price of free agency, right? Because, like, I remember when Christian Kirk signed, and people were just blown away. But the reality is, when you get to market, if you're at the top of your positional group, you're going to get paid. Like Jaylon Johnson and Sneed, right? The tag is 19.8. So let's just, for a round number, say 20. The way agents look at it is, okay, so the first tag is 20, and their second tag is 120%. So it'd be 24. They're looking at it going, all right, well, the bare minimum we're starting at here is $44 million guaranteed, and I want $22 million a year. Doesn't mean he's going to get $22 million a year, but that's a negotiating point. I think a guy like Sneed or Johnson, I could see 4.75 for those guys, 4.80. Yeah, the cap's exploding, right?
Sure.
So that's the other part you have to factor. I think those guys are going to get around $20 million. Maybe they even get a little bit more if they get to the open market. Right now, Sneed was already tagged. They're going to trade him if they can't sign him, which I think is probably more likely than not that they move him. But yeah, I mean, those guys are young, elite corners. They're going to get paid near that $20 million mark, and they're probably going to see upwards, $45, $50 million guaranteed. They're just going to get that because that's what the tags dictate.
So the interesting name out of Kansas City that we've discussed, let's discuss it here too. Chris Jones would transform the Bears defense from being pretty damn good to, I would think, elite.
Sure.
You think there is at least some chance that he's going to get out of Kansas City, even though he's really wants to stay in Kansas City? At least that's what he says.
Yeah, I think, well, look, them tagging Sneed gives Jones's camp more leverage because now it's like, well, you can't threaten to tag us. Now, I don't think they were ever going to tag him at $32 million because that's what it would cost. It's a second tag. I don't think that was ever happening. But the problem for the Chiefs now is, listen, if you're Chris Jones, what incentive do you have to sign without hitting free agency unless they give you exactly what you want? I mean, if I'm Chris Jones and I want, let's say I want 3.90 and I want 70 guaranteed, I'm not moving off that number. Why? Why would I move off that number? When I think that there's probably, look, I think Houston would be involved. I think the Raiders would at least take a look. I think the Bears would be involved. Poles was there when they drafted him. He was there when he became a star. Like, you're going to tell me some team wouldn't give that guy 4 and 110, which is, by the way, the projection I got from somebody in the league, if that's what his contract would be. I mean, I think somebody would give him that. I could see somebody giving him 4 and 120, depending on how it's structured. So
he's what, 29 right now?
Yeah, he turns 30 in July.
Turns 30. So, and you could say, oh, well, that doesn't sound like something Ryan Poles would do. They were interested in Hargrave last year.
Yeah,
they were very interested in Hargrave. They just set a number at a certain price, and it went over that. And they got out of it. But that's precedent for they'd be involved. I don't know to what point. Maybe their number would be lower than another team just because of the age, possibly. Or, as you brought up, Poles knows it. Poles was there. So maybe there's a connection that he's willing to go higher.
And, look, there are certain guys who go, they're 30. And then there are other guys who are like, well, that guy's a Hall of Famer. I don't really care if he's 30. I'm good with it. And the reality, we all know, too, guys, this isn't the NBA where when you sign a contract, it's fully guaranteed and the whole deal, right? Like, this is, if you sign him for 3 years, it's really a 2-year deal, right? If you sign him for 4 years, it's really a 3-year deal. And maybe it's even like a 2-year deal, and like if you cut him in the third year, there's some pain, but it's not that bad. And you can post June 1 it. Like, it's the NFL. Those contracts are never what they fully are expected to be. They don't become that. So I think a guy like Chris Jones, look, there are very few guys in the league that it doesn't matter what you do, that guy's getting home. I mean, I've watched every snap of his career. I have seen teams double and triple team him his entire career. It makes no difference.
Especially in the playoffs too. Like he just turns it up to another level when he gets to the playoffs, and that's what ultimately the Bears are trying to reach. And if you can get a guy like that, it takes it to a whole different level.
It's just like you look at the way he played in the playoffs for them this year. Okay, you go back to that Bills game. Okay, the Bills are down 27-24. Josh Allen has Shakir wide open in the end zone, and that is a touchdown. But it's not a touchdown because Chris Jones took Deion Dawkins and just threw him into Josh Allen.
Yep.
And now it's not a touchdown. Now it's incompletion. You'll get the Super Bowl, the overtime, 3rd and 4. Chiefs show blitz. Niners blow the protection. Chris Jones comes up unblocked. Immediate pressure. Play's done, right? They got a kick. When you have players like that, it might only be a 1 play, 2 play, 3 plays a game. That's the difference in the NFL. That could kill 3 drives. 3 drives are now over because he had a sack, he drew a hold, and he stuffed the run. And now, in a normal game, you get about 12 possessions. He's ended a quarter of the other team's drives. That's why you pay him.
Really, does anybody else excite Bears fans as much when you're listening to the concept of having that in the defense? Like, what could impact this?
When you look Sweat, like,
I mean, it's an interesting name for. I'm sure that Ryan Poles. It's just speaking to the history too. I don't know how much how tight they are, all that type of stuff. But he definitely knows them.
But it also speaks to how how sold they are on like Jermon Dexter.
Yeah.
Becoming what they want him to be, and only like they really know that right now because you
ain't passing on.
To your point, it's like, all right, well, what's the realistic ceiling there? Is it anywhere near what Chris Jones is right now?
And you know what might help him hit his ceiling? Being next to Chris Jones.
Right.
Like George Karlaftis for the Chiefs has become a really good edge rusher for them. And listen, I think Karlaftis would be good on his own merit. You know what helps George Karlaftis? Chris Jones. Taking the center and the guard every single play, and the tackle's looking in. He's like, well, is that guy he's going to loop it my way, and what are we going to do with him? And then, you got Karlaftis one-on-one the whole time. Charles Omenihu this year had the best year of his career. He did it in 10 games. He plays next to Chris Jones. It changes the calculus of everything. It's easier to get free rushers on blitzes.
Well, and you still have Montez Sweat there too. So now all of a sudden you have a line where you have 2 legitimate dudes.
Yes. Can't double them both.
Poles always says he wants multipliers. You're adding another multiplier with Chris Jones to a Montez Sweat, so it would fit. It definitely would fit.
You think the Packers pay Jordan Love this offseason?
I don't know if it'll be this offseason or next, but I think they're going to pay him. He looks terrific. I think the question is, again, look, I'm a big believer in you better pay guys early because, man, like Dak might get $60 million this offseason. I'm not trying to knock Dak, but like let's be realistic.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. Like that's crazy. Like the other one I see is Tua, and everybody, like internally, people expect the Dolphins to extend him this year because they need cap relief and anything else. Tua's going to get $55 to $60 million. It's going to happen. Like, that's going to happen. And I got to tell you, if you're Chris Greer, like when you're doing that, you can't tell me when he's handing that contract over, there's not a part of him that's like,
Go back.
Like it's so. If you're the Packers, I would extend him this offseason. I'd pay him right now. I don't have any questions that kid's going to be a really good quarterback for me. So I think you're better off. What if next year he goes out those 40 touchdown passes?
Right.
Then what?
Yeah.
Then you're paying him more than Dak's getting paid, right? And so the number just goes up.
Well, to kind of bring this whole thing full circle, it's like if Dak's getting 60 and Tua's getting 55, you're sticking with Justin. Well, you're paying, off what Matt said off the top. Like you're going to be paying a lot of money then.
It's just going to happen. I mean, the reality is the cap went up $30 million this year. $30 million. I mean, the NHL, that takes 25 years to go up $30 million. I mean, the NFL, like, yeah, sure, why not? I just think in 5 years from now, I mean, what is the cap going to be? 350, 375?
Yeah.
Like it's not going down. So I look at it and I say, if you believe in your quarterback and he's extension eligible, pay him. But the flip side of that is if you pay the guy and he's not the guy, you're screwed. Go ask the Giants. Yeah. Right? And now with Tua, like, look, I think Tua is a slightly above average quarterback, but you're going to tell me in that conference he's getting to a Super Bowl? I mean, that is That's a huge. Like if I were the Dolphins, I would really think about like, could we draft a quarterback this year? Could we do that? Because if you sign Tua for 5 years and 55 per, like he's your guy. That's just you got to be right. But I think if you're early and right, that's obviously the best of both worlds.
All right. You got anything else for Matt?
No, but I love Matt Verderame. Matt Verderame is the best, and having Matt Verderame on the show makes this show better. You're the man.
Cool. Thank you. I mean, that's
cool.
Just call my wife. You can tell her.
Hey, I'm tight with the family.
It's true. You were at my wedding. You barely made it, but you were
barely made it.
I hold on a second.
When did you leave the wedding? Did you fall asleep on a chair? And
I remember going out. We had drinks at some bar beforehand. We had a good time. It was a good trip to where were we? Rockford?
We were in Rockford. Yeah, where
where were we?
We did not go out for drinks that morning.
Not you, but like there was a bunch of us. We were at some bar. I remember the church.
You were sitting in the way back of the ceremony because you rolled in borderline late.
That's probably because I was.
It's amazing that he's up there about to get married and he notices you walking in late. Think about that.
This slander is unacceptable. I just threw all the flowers and now I'm late to the wedding.
But the funny thing is, like, because
match.
it's you're like, oh, it's Carm, it's all right.
Yeah.
Where, like other people, you'd be like, man, son of it, but like you're like, oh, it's a car got here. That's good.
No, it's
a Carm entrance.
Yeah.
I'll give you credit, my friend. You've been a baller this week so far. You went out way later than you were in Vegas a few weeks ago.
Verderame got me to Taco Bell last night, 3 a.m.
It's true.
It's a thing. I don't want to
be my.
I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
It's going to be my column. My feature for Sports Illustrated is just live in Moss at 3 a.m. Like the absolute disaster that is Cantina Taco Bell.
Did you interview one of the 3 people that were sleeping at their table when I walked in there?
No, I didn't. I was about to be sleeping at the table. But I woke up this morning and I just I looked over my desk in the hotel room. I had the computer and everything. And there's the garbage can right next to it. And there's just this Taco Bell bag sticking out of it. Like, man, it's been a long week.
I legitimately can't wait to read that. So I'm going to be looking forward to it.
I think, honestly, you had done a lot of work beforehand, but the last drink that I handed you, which was poured very thoroughly, I think that had an impact on you last night.
It was
I think that was the tipping point for you.
It was
a one too many for you, brother.
That was drink 9. And, It was I mean, listen, I'm 6'2", 230. Like I can put him back, but that might have been the issue.
No, when you walked out of there about 15 minutes later, I'm like, that dude looks different than he did 15 minutes ago.
Let's put it this way. Every other night at Taco Bell, I'm like, I'll get a soft taco and leave. And like that way I can say I actually ate there. I was like, I'll get a Crunchwrap Supreme.
You went big.
I did. It's one of those
balanced it out though. The extra drink, the Crunchwrap Supreme, you're good.
The second I get back home tomorrow, I am immediately going to the gym for like 7 hours.
I need to be there.
I'm just going to be sweating Don Julio. All right, everybody back up.
Taco Bell.
I've gotten way off the exercise train this entire month with the Super Bowl, a vacation, and combine all in a row. It's been bad.
I've never felt more disgusting in my life.
I was good. Yeah, that's the thing. Like from the drinking and like you go out, you get all the sodium. Like I feel like I'm bloated like a pregnant person at this point. Right? I am like I went to put on like my belt smile. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go. This could be a challenge, right? And then you go home and if you like drink a lot of, you just like deflate for 2 days.
Yeah,
you go, oh.
That's right.
We can all.
Where's
relate.
the pen? Need a poppage.
Yes.
Best moment is when you get home from the combine and then your wife says, "Oh, here's the kids." I just want my bed.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna do a great job.
That's gonna happen. Yeah. I gotta go home and be a dad, which is both fun and also like a huge challenge.
That's the great way to explain parenting right there.
Yeah.
It's fun and an enormous challenge every single day. Matt, thanks so much for jumping by.
Hey.
We really appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll see you at Taco Bell later.
Yeah.
Hey,
all right.
Thank you to our guy.
We all silly like the mayor.